What's Gucci, everybody? It's AJ here again, and today I want to talk about the for loop. I believe this is the 16th part in this tutorial series, and this is another way of looping through an array or doing something where you need to iterate a specific number of times. Now, let me show an example. The for loop is better than the while loop in that the for loop is more concise and has a little bit more control over the conditions about it. I'll show you what I mean. So, as if you can predict this, the for loop uses the keyword for, followed by two braces, and then two closing and ending brackets for the body of the loop, which will run over and over again. Now, the for loop is looking for three conditions, each separated by a semicolon. It's looking for an initializer, it's looking for a condition, and it's looking for something to change that condition. Maybe an incrementer or a decrement, or it could be changing something from false to true, but it just needs something like that. And so let me show you an example. So initialize here, let's say I want to print out the numbers 0 through 4, or let's do 0 through 5. I'm going to initialize a variable int I equal to 0 in the first column because that's the initializer or the first segment, and then I'm going to put a semicolon there, and then I'm going to put a condition as long as I is less than 6, which is the condition this loop checks to see if it will run again, and then I'm going to put something to happen to I every time the loop, one iteration of the loop is run. So we're going to increment I, and we're going to use the increment operation to increase it by 1. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to print out I. So what this will do is it will print out, it will initialize I equal to 0, and it will go boom, okay, it will print out 0. Let me put a /n for a new line so it prints them out all new lines, and it will print out a 0, and then it will go back at this loop condition. It will increment I to 1. It will check, is 1 less than 6? Yes. So then it will go again, and then it will keep on going to 2, 3, 4, and then it will increment to 5. And then once it prints out 5, it will increment to 6, and it will check, is 6 less than 6? That's false, so the loop stops. And then I'm just going to print out here, well, the loop is complete, just so everyone can see that. And let's run this baby. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The loop is complete, just like expected. So after termination of the loop, it keeps on running, and I don't have a return statement here, but it didn't give me an error for that. But make sure you always have a return statement because I'm telling the integer, I'm saying this method, the main method must return an int. And so let me show you some little things about the for loop. First of all, you do not need an initializer statement. I can get rid of this and declare int I equal to 0 up here, and everything will go smoothly. But notice I got rid of the int I equals 0 in the for loop, but I still have the semicolon because the compiler needs the semicolon to tell the computer that, hey, I don't have an initializer here, but now you should start reading for the conditional statement, and then after this semicolon you should start reading for the change condition. So let me save that and run this, and as you can see, everything runs fine, even though there is no initializer statement. Now let's try this. Let's see if we don't need a increment or decrement step, and let's put I++ here and run it. And hey, we get the same thing because it doesn't need an increment, it doesn't need a change condition statement because I'm doing it in the loop. Now what is this? Now doing this basically depreciates to a while loop because I'm doing the changes here. I could just make this while, get rid of the semicolons, and then put the increment up here. So a for loop, but so it is actually pretty nice to just have that there. That way it's pretty easy to read and you know exactly what's happening, and you don't have to worry about forgetting to increment it in the loop. But I just wanted you to know that if you see a loop without with some semicolons, some blank semicolons, or no initializer, that is perfectly legal to do. But yes, a for loop can be used for many things. You can also have a for loop within a for loop, just as you can have a loop within a while loop, which will do some strange things. So what's going to happen here? Let me try to take you through that. Let me only run this 2 times. Well, let me make this J actually. And let me see here. Let me make this J. So what this is going to do is it's going to go, the computer's going to run, this method's going to run, and it's going to go into this for loop, and it's going to say, okay, I is equal to 0, and then it's going to go into this J loop. And actually, if I don't do this, let me make this here just for easier reading. It's going to go into this loop, and it's going to set then J equal to 0, and it's going to print J twice. So it's going to print 0 and 1. And then it's going to go out to this loop again, and it's going to increment, it's going to finish with that, it's going to go here to finish this bracket, and then it will go back up here, and it will say, okay, we're finished with this outer for loop and this inner for loop, and it will set I equal to 1. But now this whole loop kind of gets refreshed. So once I up here is equal to 1, it will go into this inner for loop, and it will look at it again, and it will kind of do the same thing like nothing ever happened the first time. So it will again run the same for loop. So it will print out 0 and 1. So effectively what this is going to do is it's going to print out J 12 times, I believe. Let's run it and just make sure. And there you go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Well, it printed out, it ran this for loop 6 times, which printed out 0 and 1 twice. That is what I was trying to get around about. So it printed out whatever the variable J is, but as you can see, it only was 0 or 1, because each time this for loop ran, it would run this for loop the number of times that was allowed. And as you can see, this is the result. It allows you, so double for loops can allow you to do some interesting things. I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you watch another video. Thank you guys, and see you guys later.